Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Airlinesim with me, Alfapiomega, and Central European Airways. We have entered a new era, an era of profit. I'm gonna start by showing you the last week's results, which are way higher than I actually expected. So what this gives us is, last week we had the week before last, we had negative balance or negative financial result, but it was much better than previously expected. And this week we wanted to have around zero, and we ended up in 80,000 profit. So for me, this is the sign that this company is, I would say, it can survive. Is not very strong yet, but it's getting stronger by the day, and this will only continue. I can claim this because as you can look at the numbers, the first week we had around 76.84% seat load factor. The week after that we had 82.15%. Last week we had 88.35%. And this week we started, it's Monday now, with 90.95. So I'm hoping we'll end up, because it keeps oscillating between 91.2 and 90.90. So I hope we'll end up above 91, which would be awesome. The profit for a single flight also increases gradually. This week you can see it's not much higher than the week before, but that's because we don't have that many airplanes, and I've been tweaking the prices heavily the weeks before, while now I'm focusing mostly on utilization. The amount of flights you can see is increasing as well. The second week we had 419 flights, and last week we had 486, which is again due to better utilization of our aircraft. So yeah, honestly, I'm very happy. The revenue per passenger is also increasing, but that's just really minor because the prices are not what I aim for. I aim for seat load factor. So it keeps increasing, but just slightly, and I don't think this week will be much better. It might even be a drop. What we're not doing well is focusing on cargo or, handling cargo at all. After the increase in the second week, we had a huge drop, and this week is not much better. But again, cargo is not something we really want to do for now, because even at our best week the results were marginal. It was really not something that we would be, or we could be, proud of. So passengers are what we are hoping to achieve. Now the overall results are heavily dependent on the aircraft that we use. I spoke about this in the last week's video a bit. We're making great money out of the ATRs, and we're not making a lot. Actually, we're not making almost anything out of the Airbuses. Now, this comes mostly from the heavy competition that is in Europe, despite this being REM with the lower demand. Maybe that's even one of the factors in the equation, where we not only have less people, but we face heavy competition for them. So Airbuses are not really revenue makers. But I don't care. Honestly, I wanted to start a company with ATRs and Airbuses, because this company is to a certain degree modeled after Czech Airlines, my favorite airline. And they use Airbuses and they use ATRs. So this was intentional. I think I mentioned that in the first video. So I'm happy that the utilization is now working. And what's more important, Airbuses may not earn us a lot of money, but they are heavy feeders. So without them, most of our routes on the ATRs wouldn't be profitable. At certain routes, we have even over 80% from the feeder traffic. So they play their good role. Now, what does the profit mean for us? Well, it doesn't mean the end of the journey. On the contrary, I keep optimizing, I keep tweaking the prices, and I expect our profit this week to be around 200,000. I'm hoping that we could manage that because the situation at the beginning of the week wasn't as good as it was in the later days. So I'm hoping that now we will have a heavy you know, a much different situation here than we had in the week before. I took a bit of a risk, a bit of a calculated risk, I would say. I ended up the week with about 560,000, and I invested more than that into a new aircraft. We leased another ATR to increase the feeder traffic and to increase the amount of traffic that we have in our network. So that's a bit of a risk, because if this aircraft was horrible, we would get screwed. But fortunately, we're not paying that much for it. It's... which one? I think it's this one, honestly. AAC, no, that doesn't sound right. No, it's gonna be this one, AAI. So we're paying about 53,000 for that one. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna shut off Steam. My apologies for that. That's not supposed to happen. So we're paying about 53,000 for it, which is well in tolerance, and I'm expecting way more income this week. Plus, this ATR could help us with that. It's gonna increase the strain, you know, because it needs fuel, it needs people, it needs maintenance, it needs you know, pilots, and least but not last, leasing installments. But still, I'm hopeful that it's gonna work. Now, what did change in our net? Actually, not much. I just kept really playing with the prices and optimizing. So when you look here, I have only a couple of news. The one is that we canceled the route from Hanover to Dresden because that one wasn't working well. I'm gonna show you. I think I still have some statistics there. Yeah, you can see that it wasn't awfully, it wasn't an awful loss, but it wasn't a great profit either. Generally, we lost about 3,000 per day on the route. Yeah, it seems about right. So I decided to cancel it. But I found a different thing. There is actually no connection between Dresden and Berlin. So what I did is that I put up a flight to Berlin Schanefeld with an ATR 72, and as you can see, that one is actually very profitable. It's almost full. We also charge very high prices because it's a domestic route and we don't really care about connecting traffic, and we're making quite a lot of money on this one, so I'm hoping that's gonna work. I also started a new route yesterday, which is to Berlin-Tegel with a smaller aircraft, and I'm hoping that one will work as well. But I'll keep an eye on this one. That one is not, not something that I would really count upon. I also mentioned that last week, I think, that Krakow is becoming one of our mini hubs. We have flights to Prague, 2 of them, they're working very well for us. But we also have a flight to Wrocław, which is also working very well. So I'm happy with that flight too. Again, ATRs are making us quite a lot of money. And I think we had another one somewhere, but I forgot which one it was. Oh, no, I'm gonna find it here. So we have Berlin. Bratislava. Yes, that's the fact. We're making quite a lot of money on the Bratislava-Košice route. Again, that one is, the flights to Prague are not bad, especially on one leg. The other one is not horrible, but it's not good either. But the Košice flight is the one that's making us most money. So I'm happy with that one. And I still think there's one there's Dresden. We have 3 daily flights there. And Bratislava, yeah. Krakow to Wrocław, yeah. And I think there was one to... Or am I mistaken? I'm mistaken, so I probably cancelled something. Okay, so we positively eliminated most of these bad routes. We cancelled Lviv. Karlovy Vary is cancelled now, I think. Did I cancel it? I'm not sure. I've done a lot of calculation about Karlovy Vary, but there wasn't. No, we're still flying it. Okay, I need to figure out what to do with this route. I'll need to write it down because I calculated a lot of things here. And that's like one of the last bad routes that we have. I really think we could find something better. The problem is we need some very short route, and we need, A, it needs to be short, and B, it needs to be to the west and ideally northwest. So there's very limited amount of places where we could fly to. So that's why I'm still keeping it. I actually increased the prices to Karlovy Vary to almost ridiculous amounts, and I wonder if it doesn't seem to have changed anything. So what's the financial result? Yeah, you can see that it's not a major loss, and we're getting some feeder traffic. So it didn't play a big role in my decisions, but I'm thinking about it, and I mark it down here to remember it. Kaliningrad was cancelled, Warsaw was cancelled, Dresden we're utilizing, but not on the route Prague-Dresden. Copenhagen actually is starting to have a bit of a problem, but overall the route is not a loss. Hanover is not great, but I think Hanover has been discontinued, or we found a different... we discontinued Hanover. Okay, Hanover has been discontinued. Ostrava, that's a domestic route that's making us money even with a lower seatload factor. Helsinki we cancelled. Berlin Taigo, you guys know we're flying to and connecting it to Dresden furthermore. And Stockholm is our worst route, but it's making us money at this point. So I'm hoping that we are generally ready to, brace out for some rough future and to slowly expand. I mentioned this again and again during my recordings, but I really enjoy Riem because this feels like it's the strategy game that I want Airlinesim. In Airlinesim, you usually grow exponentially and you become stronger and stronger, and then it's all about just adding more planes. You can avoid this mostly by what I'm doing with PNLL. You start somewhere with heavy competition like Europe, and there you still have to be very careful, and AGEX at any point can really rape you. But here on Riem, this is all 10 times harder. So I feel great that we are doing this, and I'm pretty sure that we won't get very far beyond that 200, maybe 250,000 per week. And then I'll just keep adding small aircraft. I'm thinking about adopting something like Let's or some other very small turboprops just to gain feeder traffic from small cities in Czech Republic and in Poland and Germany, because those seems to be usually untapped as the bigger companies focus on bigger aircraft. So they don't really deal with these small things like, I don't know, for 410s and Dorniers and stuff like that. But it could work for us, at least in the short run. There's a lot of extra places in Czech Republic, like for example Pardubice, which is a very small place, and there's no one flying there, just Jet Air, and they're using Embraers. So we could tap into that, and there's a lot of these cities in Germany, near the border, most of them untapped. There are some in Slovakia. So, we could just test it and see how it works for us. But again, I'm not seeing my Airbus fleet growing anytime soon, and I'll be much more careful about how I handle this. I might at some point switch out the ATRs 42 for ATR 72, or even search for cheaper leasing. That's another thing that I should keep my eyes open for. I could have made this much easier for me if I went with smaller aircraft and I'd use the Airbuses. But again, it was all about making this work, and I'm feeling a huge amount of a huge feeling of self-achievement that I made this work. So what's the strategy for upcoming days and weeks? Well, part of what I said is the optimization. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I will solve the situation with Karlovy Vary one way or another, even if it means that it's just going to stay in the fleet. Another thing that I'll have to keep in mind is the new ATR 42. I'm going to show you where this one is flying. I haven't spoken about it at all. It's flying to Zagreb twice per day. I'm going to speak about that in a few minutes. We opened a new route to Milan Linate and we opened a new route to Göteborg, Landvetter airport. So I'll have to keep an eye on how this one will work. I'm absolutely not sure what's going to happen. And I think the 2 daily flights to Zagreb might be an overkill, but it might not be. I'll show you why. Apart from, keeping an eye on the aircraft, another big thing for me is the interlining. I spoke about this before. People here on RIM are way more careful about who they interline with. The big companies in Prague, which is Toro Europe and Ecobis International, they immediately rejected my interlining agreement. Fair game, I understand them. I'm a competition. I don't bring them anything, so I understand their contentions or why they did it, and I agree with them. I would do the same thing. Not to mention that anyone who looks at my company will still see that I'm a BB rating airline, so they might be a bit worried about that. I wrote to most of the people here. Trans-Siberia would be one of the potential candidates, but that's an incredibly huge company, and I really don't think we are in a shape to interline with them. Not to mention that they will be a great partner. They're flying to Adler, Sochi, to Ekaterinburg, Moscow, St. Petersburg. So all this potential feed would be great for us. But you probably understand they have most of Europe covered anyway, so there's not much else we can do for them. Plus they have some subsidiaries, and it would cost us like maybe, I don't know, 300,000 per week to interline with them. So that's beyond our capabilities. But I picked up some of these small airlines. I wrote them all. I checked each of those companies, how are they flying, if it fits to my schedule. I wrote them all messages, and most notable things. Apollon Airlines, a pretty good company that is based in Budapest and based in Athens. They have a very good connection to Prague from Budapest, from Bucharest. So they're based in Athens and Bucharest. And they have a good connection to Prague that actually fits well with my schedule. So I think I could help them. They don't have full flights, so interlining would be mutually agreeable. But they haven't... Wow, this is a really old company, man. How come not a member of any airlines? Is this guy even playing? Oh yeah, he was online today. Interesting. Well, there you see, guys. Growth is not always easy. This is a Jesus Christ, this is a year-old airline, and they have only 12 aircraft. So I'm hoping I'm going to be better off than that. So we could help each other. Then there's DUJet, which we actually interline with. DUJet is a company based in Zagreb, and they have very good coverage of the Balkans, and they do not fly to Prague. And I have a lot of connections in Prague and North Europe, in Middle Europe and North Europe, not in Prague, which they don't have. So I wrote them a message that I'm going to start flights to Zagreb. I scheduled 2 per day, and I'm hoping that it's going to work. We'll see the results. We have just one calculation went through. We'll see how it goes. I might cancel it. I might cancel the interlining. We'll see. But I'm hoping that at least one full flight per day is possible. Then we have... but that explains the Zagreb thing. GT Fly Regio, another fairly good company that I'm hoping that we could work with. They have a LET aircraft, and they're flying from quite a lot of places that we fly to. So that's just like a test. I don't know if this company won't go bankrupt. Today we persuaded this company, Klinger Air Sweden, and I think that's going to be a great partner that will bring us a lot of revenue, and I'm hoping I'm going to bring them a lot of revenue because they're based in Göteborg and they're based in Stockholm, 2 airports that I'm actually flying to. And none of my flights, Göteborg is actually a new route, and Stockholm is never full. So I'm hoping that we can help each other. I don't know if they have no medium haul flights, so I'm hoping that we could work well. Again, this is a over a half a year old airline, and they have only 25 aircraft. So this is Riem, everyone. I applied to Scandinavia, but I'm thinking that I'm gonna cancel this because this is probably a direct competition of. Yeah, I think I'm gonna retract this offer because I already interlined with their partners, so their competition. So let's withdraw the offer to Scandinavia. I sent an interlining agreement offer to Ukraine worldwide. This would be a great feeder for me, but I don't think they're interested. They're a very big company and very successful one, so I don't think they will be interested. VA links we work with, they're actually pretty good. They're flying to Prague, and they're already feeding me traffic, so that one is working well. I also applied to Vueni Airways and World Island Air. World Island Air is a good company based in Tel Aviv. I wrote them that they fly to Prague, and I told them outright that if they want, they can keep the route for themselves. I have no aircraft that would be able to fly to Tel Aviv, and I'd be happy to be their local provider. No response yet, but I'm hoping they will consider it. But they were online today, so I don't know if they just said let's wait if this company doesn't go bankrupt. It's possible. Vueni Airways is a big European airline that's heavy in Prague. They have several daily connections to London and Birmingham and some other places. So I'm hoping this one would be good for us in the long run, but again, I don't think they're interested. We're too small. Generally speaking, I'm pretty sure that what's serving very detrimental to my purposes is the BB rating. I have an old airline. It's actually going to be a month old in 9 days. So it's over 3 weeks old, and it's operating and it's growing. And but still BB rating, because our overall result is heavily negative at this point. So once we manage to get these numbers in green, especially after this week passes, then I'm hoping we could impress more people. If they don't reply, I'm going to send them another message in a week or so. But generally speaking, I'm happy with the numbers. I'm positive that this can work. We're onward, we're on a way onward. We make everything work. And you can see that also at the statistics for Prague. This is the last week results, where we actually added 8.29%. And I'm hoping that this week we're going to grow even bigger. So, it's all going to be about the optimization. I don't think there's much I can do now other than just monitor them, see if no competition arises that would hurt me. And if that doesn't happen, we are cool. And we just have to wait a couple of weeks to earn money and, create a little safety cushion. I'm just hoping that, because AGEX keep growing on me. And it's great. And fuel prices aren't all that high either. But if AGEX dropped by, say, 100, 100 points, I think I could be screwed. So I'm hoping that at least for a couple of weeks it's going to be as high as possible until we sign some interlining agreements and save some money up, because a sharp downward trend could really hurt us. So I think I'm keeping myself in circles now, so there's no point in talking more. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Very positive things were said, so fingers crossed, and let's go for the 250k revenue. That sounded weird. I'm hoping that it's gonna happen because I keep upgrading my expectations, and so far I've been able to fulfill them. So let's see how that goes in the next week. So till then, you guys, take care.